Hello friends, it's Dave here from SaveDex, here to talk about a Nintendo Switch game in a mini review this time, and I have been playing 0 Degrees. A review copy was kindly provided, thank you to the publisher, and before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button to see me talk about more Switch games and news in the future. Thank you very much. So, what is 0 Degrees? It's a pixel art platformer taking place in the cold snowy mountains. I'll be honest, when I first saw the screenshots, I worried that this would be a Celeste knockoff. But luckily, despite the setting, this does play differently, so it would be unfair for me to make comparisons and I should be judging this game in its own right. I mean, it was just my first impression when I saw it, and I imagine others might see this and write this one off as a Celeste knockoff, but stick around and I'll explain exactly what you're getting here, as it does deserve your attention. So this is a level-based platformer with block puzzle elements. Your goal is simply to get from point A to point B. Can't be any easier than that, could it? Well, it could, as there are some challenging moments in this game. You press the B button to jump and the R button to shoot some ice, which will create a block when it hits a wall. There is a crosshair in the centre of the screen when the level starts, and you use the right stick to aim where you shoot the ice. The ice will shoot out from where your character is standing, so you can't just make a block appear anywhere. If there is a wall between you and where you're aiming, then a block will hit that wall and it will appear there. On a single level you have 5 blocks that you can create. When they're gone, they're gone. You can push a block around as well, which is very slow, but you don't need to do it all that much. The main gimmick of shooting ice to create blocks works well enough, but I would have preferred it if this controls more like a twin stick shooter, where the crosshair is near your character at all times and you simply move the stick in the direction you want to shoot. Not only would this have made the movement a lot more fluid, as that crosshair moves quite slowly, but it would have added more challenge to it. There are times where you need to make the block appear on some spikes so you can safely jump across them, but sometimes you can't get a clear aim at the spike you want it to be placed on, so you need to shoot the ceiling above it so the block appears there and falls down onto the spikes. This means you need to get some creative thinking in where best to place them, but it's not too difficult to know which part of the ceiling is directly above where you want the block to land, so I think having the cursor be near you at all times and you just adjust the angle would have made it more challenging and fun to calculate, kind of like snooker, but I can see why the gameplay doesn't involve any angles. This game advertises 0 degrees after all. But it is just a personal preference. A lot of people will probably prefer the fact that you can see exactly where the ice is going to go. You'll also find areas where there's switches to hit that will keep doors open, and you need to leave a block on them for it to remain open, and there's usually some clever thinking in how best to aim or access those switches. Later on you get the ability to freeze the blocks so they don't move at all, which can also make them freeze in mid-air, which makes for some excellent puzzle platforming with great use of timing, and also the ability to replenish your shots. It's a shame this mechanic is introduced later on in the game, and I feel there was a lot more they could have done with this. The game has a pixel art style which looks very nice, with some nice details in the backgrounds of floating islands and snow falling, and the music is simple but has a nice atmosphere. So there's a reason why this is a mini review rather than a full fleshed out review, and that's because the game is very short with just 40 levels. I beat this game in under an hour. But I did have a fair few failed attempts on plenty of the levels, so I did really enjoy the time I spent with it. I just wish there was more. It costs £4.49, $4.99 or €4.99, and currently has a 20% discount. It's a short game for a very low price, so it is to be expected, but it really is a shame as what there is really good, and I feel like it could have continued longer, as I felt I was just scratching the surface for the ideas they could have done with this. But for that price you are paying, especially with that discount, there are far worse ways to spend an hour. So that's what I thought of this game. What do you think of it? Let me know down below in those comments, and while you're down there, please consider hitting that like and subscribe to help support our channel. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so much for watching everyone. See you in the next one.